A dragon is just as an individual as the next, but it's his winglet that helps define him. Hi, I'm your host Heatwave, and today we'll be delving into the winglets of Pareena. Ha! A race? Okay, Terracotta. You do know you're not built for speed, yeah? You're built for snapping tree trunks over your back. But if you insist, I'll even give you a head start, huh? Welcome back to the Wings of Fire spin-off series, Empire of Pareena. In today's episode, we're going to explore the different winglets of Pareena, and their biological differences, culture, and a little bit of their history. Now, there are not many differences between the wing types of Pariah and Pareena. They are more like cousins than actually being directly related. Pareena has 6 winglets divided into 3 weight classes: light, medium, and heavy. Let's start small and work our way upwards. Sky wings are the smallest of all the winglets. An adult only stands at about 2 meters tall. They appear as thin and bony, with oblong snouts. This lack of weight aids in flight. Their scales are very different shades of red, dark red, even orange and yellow are most common. The most notable quality of a skywing is their massive wings. While the shape hasn't changed, skywing wings are far bigger than that of any other winglet, and are even bigger than their bodies. Skywings have the longest flight time of any winglet, clocking in at a max 14-hour flight time. To further aid in their flight, skywings have 4 individual lungs rather than 2 large ones. Skywings originated from the lower ends of Pareena's spine. They had a rather small kingdom. The old skywing palace was tethered to the side of a mountain like a pod. This city held the majority of the skywing population before the War of Unification. During the war, skywings allied themselves with the tyrant of the Mojave and his sandwings, but their newfound ally was not too fond of skywings, disrespecting their tactics and military tradition. By war's end, most garrisons of skywings surrendered to Ocean's loyalists. During the war, the skywings lost about 2/3 of their population fighting, and it is this reason that the remaining skywings abandoned the Old Kingdom, settling across Pareena and settling into new lives. In the Imperial Age, skywings can be found almost anywhere and are frequently employed as couriers, weather observers, and for the military, are used as runners or high-altitude artillery spotters. Typical slang for a skywing is a wide wing, while common skywing names can refer to colors such as red, the sky, birds, or even fire. Like, for example, flame, sky, or vulture. Skywing culture is built around boastfulness and cocky attitudes, while socially they'll be the loudest in the room. This is seen as a way for their winglet to make up the fact that they are rather small in size and in population. Next we have rainwings. Pareena rainwings are instantly unrecognizable from their pariah counterparts. Pareena rainwings are more insect-like in appearance. Another small winglet, an adult rainwing, will stand about 2.3 to 2.5 meters tall. Their scales can vary widely on colors. They don't have the chameleon scales like pariah dragons do, but rather Pareena rainwings will change color throughout their lifetime. On the face is a strip of thick scales running the length of the snout, and protruding from the skull are 2 long antennas. These antennas allow the dragon to sense subtle movements, temperature change, or the presence of danger in the atmosphere. Along with the antennas, rainwings have 2 sets of eyes, allowing them to view light in different wavelengths and giving them night vision capabilities. Pareena rainwing tails have a unique ability to curl inwards. This has led rainwings to sleep upside down like bats, coiled around tree trunks. But the most defining feature is the twin-bladed bug-like wings. Each wing twitches rapidly at an insane speed to generate lift, creating a distinctive buzzing sound. Unfortunately, this leads to rainwings having the shortest operational flight time at only 6 hours of continuous flight without pause. Pareena rainwings mostly stayed out of the War of Unification. Their winglet only set 100 or less soldiers to aid Princess Ocean. The rainwings at the time were not fighters. Post-War of Unification, the rainwings were essential to establishing the Empire's agricultural sector. Rainwings, being natural vegetarians, culturally developed a great knowledge for plants, fruit, and how to grow them rapidly. Because of this, they are employed as farmers, botanists, and apothecaries. The majority of the rainwing population still lives in the vast treehouse cities within the wet spring rainforests. A slang term for a rainwing is fruit, bug, four eyes, and common names range from plants, fruits, to rainforest animals, to insects. Names like mango, tiger, spider, mintleaf. Culturally, rainwings take great pride in growing their plants, and it's a sign of maturity if a dragonet can take care of their own pot plant. Rainwings also like to decorate themselves with laurels, wreaths, and other accessories made from threading plants together. Now we meet the medium class of dragons. So we'll start with sea wings. The smallest of the medium class of dragons, the average adult sea wing, will stand at around 3.5 meters tall. Their limbs are thick and their nose is very bulbous. In between their talons and running along their spine are patches of webbed skin to aid in swimming. Located on the neck are a sea wing's gills, allowing them to breathe underwater indefinitely. Scales are typical shades of blue, but can be aqua or even a green. At the end of the tail sits a pair of shark-like fins to aid in swimming. Sea wings naturally have low light vision, and nesting in between their scales are strips of bioluminescent dots that can light up. They are used to communicate underwater by sending a Morse code-like message. A rudimentary system is taught in the public education system, where to communicate, a dragon can use a series of blinks. Two tiny antennae sit below the chin. These are similar to rainwing antennae, but they help detect currents and water temperature. Sea wing scales are designed to absorb water. If left isolated from the water, a sea wing will become horribly dehydrated and their scales will begin to bleed and peel very painfully. A sea wing can't spit fire, but some have been able to create a sonic bark-like attack to disorient their foe. Of course, sea wings come from the sea, all over the Tail Islands in fact, but their population can be traced to the Coral City, a deep and wide coral bed hollowed out into homes, sea farms, and the former palace. During the War of Unification, the Sea Wings wished to remain neutral, choosing to simply wait out the war under the sea in secret. But the actions of Princess Ocean led to the Sea Wings wage war against the Tyrant of the Mojave. They fielded quite an elite force. Princess Ocean would later go on to be named the first Empress. Post-War of Unification, the Sea Wings were occupying many places in the Empire and held almost any job you could think of. Due to their boasting of the first Emperor being a Sea Wing, they strived to be the first in many. Common sea wing names are derived from aspects of the sea, water, fish, or ocean birds. These are names like shark, squid, typhoon, cyclone, splashdown, seagull. Culturally, sea wing diets consist of only fish, and they will very rarely consume any other meat. Sea wings also enjoy collecting seashells and pearls to wear as accessories. The second dragon of the middle class, ice wings, can stand again at 3.5 meters tall, like a sea wing. Their scales are cold to touch, yet they trap heat. Ice wing scales are primarily white, but they can be seen in very, very light blues. Ice wings tend to have narrow, sharp snouts, and at the back of their head, near their horns, is a plume of spikes. These bones are a bit more brittle than the primary horns. Ice wings also have long claws on their talons to aid in gripping into the thick ice. An ice wing's tail consists of rows of spikes that, when aggravated, spring up into a spike ball. Ice wings' blood is sky blue in color, and instead of producing a flame, ice wings can call upon a nitrogen gas as their breath attack. Ice wings originate from the Claw Mountain, especially the vast catacombs of the tunnels they dug into the mountain itself. Some say they were the direct cause of the War of Unification, but during the war the Ice Wings held a more defensive mindset, holding on to the top of Claw Mountain from wave after wave of Skywing and Sandwing attack. While they didn't outright support Princess Ocean or her loyalists, they did support the unification of Pareena. Post-War of Unification, the Ice Wings hollowed out Claw Mountain to build the Silver Pavilion. Due to the Ice Wings' natural ability to resist the cold, they don't enjoy hot weathers, so it is strange to see an Ice Wing who isn't living in the mountains. Their appearance across the wider empire is rare, and they are employed where they can. Typical Ice Wing names relate to ice or ice-dwelling animals, for example, frostbite, blizzard, or polar bear. Culturally, Ice Wings tend to keep to themselves, and are seen as rude and gruff because of it by the wider empire. Next are the winglet of yours truly. The Sandwings are the last in this weight category, and an adult stands at 4.4 meters tall. Their scales can be a variety of khakis and tans, but also yellow. Instead of spines running along their back, they've got a hair-like mane. This mane aids in the expulsion of heat from the body. This mane can grow out and curl upwards, just like mine. Ain't it fabulous? Anyway, Sandwing scales are heat resistant. Sandwing eyes are simple black orbs to help reduce the damage of the sun. Finally, Sandwings have very, very unique tails. The tip is essentially a scorpion tail. Upon penetrating the flesh of a foe or prey, a neurotoxin is released into the bloodstream. This toxin acts like a coagulant, blocking arteries and bursting them. The victim dies screaming as their blood leaks from their eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, as it has no other place to go. During the War of Unification, the Sandwings were the arch enemy. At the time, they had the most advanced society. Shady Sands was a hub for all known trade across Pareena at the time. They even created the first written language. Sandwings held the largest military too, well-equipped and well-trained for war. Under the tyrant's orders, they led campaigns against the Ice Wings and later battled Ocean's loyalists. Post-war, many of the political ideals and military organization structure transferred into the new empire. Sandwings can be found all over the empire and hold a variety of jobs and roles. Just look at me, for example. Sandwing names relate to, well, sand, desert animals, or heat. Things like sandbar, scorpion, sunbeam, or even heat wave. Culturally, Sandwings are very loyal to their ideals. They also love to decorate their scales with not just shiny gold accessories, but also tattoos of the old Sandwing language. Not many know what these hieroglyphs mean anymore, but it has a more spiritual connection to us. Some wealthy Sandwings, like myself, can even afford to have parts of the scales recolored, like me. The only dragon type that fits into the heavy class are mudwings. Mudwings are very big, not just in height, but in width and weight. The average adult will stand at 5 meters or 5.5 meters tall. They are flat-nosed and brutish. Common scale colors are mostly browns, olive green, deep reds, or even maroon. A mudwing's body is bloated with massive amounts of muscle and fat. They are very heavy and do not do small spaces very well. Distinctively, mudwings have 2 tusks located in the middle of the lower jaw. Other than that, mudwings are quite simple in design. They can swim very well and hold their breath for a long time too. Unlike pariah mudwings, who build a family around their siblings, Pareena mudwings go further. They form families the size of communities. Mudwings of a local area come together to live in a communal mob. A single mudwing may have one mother and one father, but they can have an infinite number of cousins, uncles, and aunts. Before the War of Unification, the bulk of the mudwing population migrated to the rainforest. It's been lost to time why this happened, but they found new rapport with the rainwings. Their relationship blossomed to the point both winglets counted themselves as one, and they lived side by side. During the War of Unification, the mudwings also chose to stay neutral, but did send a small quantity of troops to aid Princess Ocean. Post-war, mudwings can be found across the empire, employed to use their strength in practical jobs like factories, farms, and as soldiers. Typical mudwing names relate to mud-dwelling animals, the color brown, or what mud could be used for. Names like terracotta, crocodile, maroon, or muck. Culturally, mudwings value being together, working together towards a greater good, a mutual and beneficial outcome. They were also the first winglet to develop performing arts, using dance and song to tell stories to massive crowds. They also do stunts, jumps, and flame dancing. This tradition still lives on in the new empire. Finally, we have established the time, setting, and dragons of Pareena. Now we can focus on the empire itself, its history, its military, law and culture, and much, much more. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, why don't you consider leaving a like and a comment and staying tuned for more, or checking out the channel for some of our other episodes. This is Heatwave, signing off.